Hi and welcome back to another video from Effective Dashboards. In this video, it's part 2 of my switch statement videos, and we will be looking at using logic statements within a switch function. Let's get started. So in this example of the switch statement, it's going to be slightly different to the previous one. We're going to use some logic. So what we're going to do is we're going to apply a logic that carries out a calculation, and based on that calculation it returns a value. So let's crack on. I'm going to create a new field here. So there's been a requirement, rather than show this value here as the work type, we want to show it as days in backlog. Now if I have got a value here, so it's the number of days a work order has been in our backlog, so number of days it's been overdue. And if I go and add that into this value here, instead of the work type, we can see that there's too much information here. So we've got 24 work orders that are 5 days overdue. We've got, in fact, let's sort this by the days in backlog. Okay, so we've got 4 that are 120 days overdue. We've got 7 at 119, and so on and so on, right through the whole spectrum here. So what I want to do is I want to create some bandings. I want to create a banding that says if a work order is between a certain number of days overdue, I just want to lump all of that together and count that value there. So to do that, we're going to create a new calculated column. And this is another application of the switch statement, slightly different from one I've covered in a previous video, which I'll leave a link to below and will pop up here in the card. But this is slightly more complicated and allows you to put some conditions in rather than just a straightforward if a field value is a certain value, then replace it with another value. So this is going to be called days in backlog group equals. So we're going to use this switch statement. And in the switch statement, rather than the expression being a field value, the expression is going to be true. Now, what this does is it forces, so the condition is true, so what that means is that the switch values will return a result for the first one it finds to evaluate to true. And let's just show you an example here. So I have got, if let's say the days in backlog is greater than 100, so if that statement is true, then the value is going to be a text statement, or a text which is going to be A greater than 100. Likewise, if the work order days in backlog. Now what I'm going to do actually is work order days in backlog. Rather than actually repeat this, because I'm going to do 4 different categories, I'm actually going to copy this, cut this, I'm going to create a variable. So you can define a variable, and we're going to call this DIB equals, and because this variable is defined inside a calculated column, you can refer directly to an actual value within another value. The row context is already there. We know that because it's in a table. So we can refer directly to another column within that table. Return. So now we can just put DIB instead of writing this every time, so it's just slightly shorter really. So I'm going to go and I'm going to add in some more conditions here. Now because it selects the first condition, you need to start with the highest number here and think about how the logic is going to be applied. So if you wanted to check for, is it above 100, and then is it above 50, is it above 20, and that's the type of calculation or process we need to go through here. If you check if it's above 20 and it's also, it says 100, it will be above, if you put in the above 20 first as the statement, then it's going to be grouped in the above 20 group. It could be 100, but it's never going to progress to the next statement to check to see if it is also above 100. So that's why you need to start with the highest value here. Now, the logic will be different for different scenarios, so you just need to make sure you consider that. Okay, so I've gone and added in these values here, and let me just talk you through them. So the first one, greater than 100, we talked about. Then it goes, if it doesn't, if that's not true, then it moves to the next one. Is it greater than 50? No. Is it greater than 11? Yes, it's greater than 11. Now we know it's not greater than 50. We know it's greater than 11. So the value returned is 11 to 49. Now if it gets to the point where it is none of these here, and it is less than 0, we're just interested in one value less than 0. It's not in backlog, so it means it's not overdue. Now if it doesn't capture any of these, then the else, which is this one here in the switch statement, is going to return other. Okay, so if we click on that and then we go to our days in backlog grouping, and it is here. So we're going to go and click on here, and we're going to replace this days in backlog with the days in backlog grouping. And here we can see it. Now, the default is to sort by the value. Now, what I did is a little bit sneaky, and I added an A, B, C, and D to these. Now, there's another couple of ways you can do it. That's a little bit of a cheat, and it works fine here. And that means that when we go and sort by this days in backlog grouping, and then sort it ascending, we've got the highest to the lowest, because it's sorting it alphabetically. So just a little bit of a cheat. You can get away with it sometimes depending on the descriptions, but in the previous video I did go through how to sort by another column if you want to do that, or you need to do that, and there is no possibility for you to use this little cheat here. Okay, so now we've got our days in backlog grouping, and this has consolidated or summed all of the values that are greater than 100, which is 109. We've got 175 that are between 50 and 100, etc, etc. Okay, so hopefully you can start to use this switch statement instead of using a load of nested if statements, which can get quite messy depending on how you structure your code. And you can see here that you can use some logic, so you can carry out some sort of condition or some sort of calculation as the and if that calculation is true, then it returns a specific value. Thanks for listening, and I will talk to you in the next video. If you liked this video and found it useful, then it would be great, and I would appreciate it a lot if you could press the thumbs up and like it. And if you want to keep up to date with the latest videos that I release, normally about once a week, then click on the subscribe button. Thanks for listening, and I'll talk to you in the next video.